And what a welcome they will get. It's ticker tape again from the Portsmouth supporters. Well, I'm sure you've got the drift about the team news, but let's confirm it for you. Starting with Portsmouth, Jim Smith pulled John Beresford, Alan McLaughlin, Colin Clark and Darren Anderton out of the firing line on Saturday to freshen them for tonight. His big decision, the only decision really, how to replace Mark Chamberlain, that early casualty at Highbury. He's gambled on Ray Daniel at left-back, who's played only once this season, and that was on Saturday against Grimsby, with John Beresford moving up into midfield.
Yeah, the only real problem for Jim Smith was, as you say, how to fill that. But I do agree with Ron Atkinson. For me, the key man in this side tonight could be Alan McLaughlin. Just in that little half position, how will Liverpool cope with him?
Liverpool, of course, lost Steve McManaman, who was so effective at Highbury, but they have regained Dean Saunders from suspension. Mark Wright, Ian Rush and John Barnes all missed the subsequent league defeats against Wimbledon and here at Aston Villa, but they're all included again tonight, no surprise in that. Along with Jan Mulby, whose omission at Highbury raised an eyebrow or two, as has the absence of Ray Houghton tonight.
Well, I'm actually quite amazed Ray Houghton isn't playing tonight. What we don't know exactly is how Liverpool are going to line up in the doctor, but we will keep you posted. Don't be surprised to see Barnes having a free role tonight with the three midfield players tucked in tight.
Ronnie Moran, a grand servant of Liverpool Football Club for more than 40 years now, and he's answered the call again. Bruce Grobbelaar's goalkeeping under such scrutiny at the moment, a mixture of the marvellous and the misguided. He's kept his place under the present challenge from Mike Hooper, and amid rumours that Liverpool are looking elsewhere for a successor, with Watford's David James top of their list. Ray Daniel, can't believe he's here, I'm sure. He was 13th man for Luton in an FA Cup semi-final here 7 years ago. Well, his luck has changed tonight. By a quirk of fate, Martin Bodenham had been allocated Aston Villa against Liverpool here last Saturday, an assignment he was required to withdraw from because of tonight's replay. So last Thursday, Blue had a surprise success over Red on the pitch of politics. Can the same happen here, with most of football's pollsters plumping for a Liverpool win? Second division teams like Blackburn and Brighton last season, Bristol Rovers and Ipswich this season have all failed, though often narrowly, to take a second chance against Liverpool in the FA Cup. The rescuer for Liverpool at Highbury. The incentives for Liverpool are here in abundance for themselves, with serious consequences of failure for their fans, who are wondering whether for the first time in 20 years Liverpool will be trophyless in 2 consecutive seasons, and for a manager whose public performance at Highbury, in the private knowledge of what he was about to undergo, was worthy of an Oscar. And may Andy Gray and myself add our names to the long list of well-wishers to Graham Souness.
Quite right, man.
Liverpool may well have fallen below the exacting standards expected at Anfield, but their much-admired competitive instincts are still in good working order, as their refusal to accept defeat at Highbury proved.
First surprise could be in store, man. Just looking at the way Liverpool are lining up. Don't know if it's a bit of kidology, but Steve Nicol is actually lined up in the left-back position with Burrows in the centre of defence alongside Mark Wright. Whether they're going to stay there, whether they're worried about Anderton against Burrows and they've decided that tried and trusted Steve Nicol, who's a magnificent competitor, is better equipped to cope with Darren Anderton. That may be the case.
Well, the 7:45 kick-off put back officially to 8 o'clock. We just drifted past that now. Martin Boddenham ready to set off this semi-final replay in the FA Cup. Liverpool attacking the Holt end. Steve Nicol starting at left-back. A role to which he is no stranger. Barnes. There's Anderton. Portsmouth have plenty to play for, apart from tonight, of course, on the fringes of the second division promotion chase, just below a potential playoff place. Chris Burns, a former teammate of Andy Gray's.
Nice to see him. I can't believe it. I bet he can't, Martin. About 2 years ago, I played for Cheltenham with Chris Burns. Tremendous competitor. I bet he doesn't believe he's actually playing in this game here tonight. But it just shows you in football, anything's possible.
Portsmouth certainly showed themselves capable of picking holes in Liverpool over the 2 hours down in North London 8 days ago. But what is one abiding memory from that afternoon was the way Liverpool started. They could have swept Portsmouth aside in the opening phases. Their shooting just wasn't straight enough then. Will it be here? Here's McLaughlin. Ronnie Whelan has lost none of his tenacity in his 6 months away from the game. One of half a dozen players cautioned 8 days ago. Here's McLaughlin. And Anderton is adjudged to be offside.
But that's that little position we were talking about Alan McLaughlin getting into. That one just in front of Mark Wright and David Burrows. And if Liverpool don't put anyone on him, don't mark him when they haven't got the ball, he certainly could cause some problems. But the first problems with the ball, they've had to switch it already.
Rob Jones, one of a number of Liverpool players whose fitness was checked this morning when they used the Aston Villa training ground, followed by Portsmouth. Ron Atkinson's hospitality is legendary. Here's Wright, a loser twice in past semi-finals with Southampton. One of them, of course, against Liverpool.
It looks like Ron Atkinson was right in the other respect of how they were going to line up front. It looks like Dean Saunders has been told to patrol that right flank and try and get in touch with Ian Rush at all times, and John Barnes this left side.
Here's Nicol. And Saunders has run across the width of the pitch and is now on the left. Looks for Rush, who of course had a goal disallowed at Highbury and hit the bar as well in extra time. John Beresford trying to bomb on, which is very much a feature of his play, used primarily by Portsmouth this season, coming from the left-back slot, but Ray Daniel is there behind him tonight.
Yeah, he's very comfortable wherever he plays, whether it be left-back or left-side midfield. I don't think Jim Smith has any worries about that.
Colin Clark, who does a lot of unselfish graft and toil for Portsmouth in this particular formation, which is designed really to make the most of the number 4, McLaughlin. Jones nearly slipping there dangerously for Liverpool. A tangle between Cool and Thomas, both players a little slow to pick themselves up from it as Barnes takes the ball on. Nothing slow about him. It nearly ran on behind Whelan to Saunders. Barnes. Saunders. Well, it was a smell of a chance because he got to the ball first.
Yeah, this is what will be expected of Dean Saunders, to make these runs across the face of Ian Rush. But really he's well patrolled by Kit Simmons there, and he can do nothing but just put it over the top. But this is a bright start from Liverpool. In fact, a bright start from both teams. Portsmouth shown as well, even early on, they're quite prepared to take the game to Liverpool given the chance.
Dean Saunders, whose future is the subject of some speculation, but he has scored 23 goals for Liverpool this season. Nicol. Now Barnes, who's been a loser in semi-finals on this ground twice for Liverpool 2 years ago in that extraordinary affair against Crystal Palace, and for Watford against Tottenham back in 1987. Cool, pursued by Rush. Clark. Here's Simons. Well, David Burrows has played a few games recently in the centre of defence because of Liverpool's difficulties with injuries. But one has grown to accept Steve Nicol and Mark Wright as the first choice pairing. Not so, at least at the outset here. Daniel. Positive work from him. Beresford. McLaughlin joining Clark in the middle. Jones can clear. We'll get a word from Andy Gray on Alan McLaughlin in a moment, because of course he was on loan here from Southampton earlier in the season for a month. It's Beresford shaping for the throw. Burns going towards it and making some contact. The whistle has gone. Alan McLaughlin, Andy.
Yes, Alan spent a month with us at Villa Park, but what you have to do with Alan is you do have to readjust your team formation, Mark, to accommodate him, because he does like to play in that little half position. And although he looked a very good player with us, we didn't feel it was in our interest really to alter our system too much. But Jim Smith obviously has, and to be fair, it has paid dividends for them.
Here's Burrows. And again, there's plenty of mobility about Liverpool. Mulby. Guided on by Rush, who got it back again, and it looped up for a moment, worryingly for Alan Knight.
This is another wonderful little passing move, wasn't it? I think Ian Rush does look for the chip, but it's one of them. You know, if he really hits that any harder, then that loops over the goalkeeper and doesn't half embarrass him. But Alan Knight very happy to see that drop into his hands.
Hit long by Jones, more really in hope than any great expectation. Rush pursued it, not with full vigour. Nicol. Mulvey using his size. Warren Neal played particularly well at right back at Highbury, and often orchestrates the movements of the younger Darren Anderton in front of him, and of course they combined for the goal as Barnes and Saunders look to combine here, and no one following in for Liverpool at the far post.
Well, that could be one of the problems, couldn't it? He makes another wonderful run. They've already had a warning about this. Barnes finds him quite beautifully, but because he's vacated the right side, there's no one there taking advantage of his quite wonderful ball across the face of the goal.
Coming up to 10 minutes gone. Portsmouth 0, Liverpool 0. Liverpool's 2 defeats against Wimbledon and Aston Villa have harmed their hopes for European qualification in the league, and Darren Anderton trying to harm them here in the FA Cup. He's forced the corner.
I was just about to say as well, Mark, that they're having a terrible time getting Darren Anderton on the ball in the first 10 minutes. I'd seen very little of him, and that's the first real positive run he made off the ball.
Beresford to take the corner. Grobbelaar with the first. It dropped in the area, but safely for Liverpool. Hoisted long by Molby. Some smart work in midfield by Thomas. John Barnes playing for only the 11th time for Liverpool this season. How they've missed him. And although at times he was on the edge of the match at Highbury, he certainly played a major part in its final outcome. And you do feel he needs to put together a run of matches now to get his match fitness absolutely right. Saunders. Mulvey. Simons. Here's McLaughlin in that half and half role. Hoisted on by Thomas. All to no avail for Liverpool then. Andy Orford knocking it over the back of Nicol Anderton as Grobbelaar came charging out. The goal was left totally unattended. And that was chaos for Liverpool.
Well, Bruce is shaking his head there, Martin, but I honestly don't know where he's going. He can't in any way hope to do anything getting there. And Darren Anderton really will be disappointed he hasn't done better with that. I mean, Steve Nicol was right beside Darren Anderton. He couldn't really have done anything, but Bruce creates the chance for Portsmouth all on his own.
Well, we've all seen the greatness of Bruce Grobbelaar down the years, but that type of thing is happening far too often for Liverpool at the moment.
And I think that may be the reason they have been linked with a goalkeeper or two as well, Martin.
Neil. And certainly Ronnie Moran will have a strong opinion about what went wrong for Liverpool at the back, and it very nearly put them behind in the early stages to the player who scored in extra time. He's handled here, Darren Anderton. And when you talk of transfer speculation, Anderton, of course, has been watched a lot by Liverpool this season. And they're having the opportunity now to evaluate him very much at close quarters.
I think he's been watched a lot by a lot of clubs this season. Just a small glimpse of the pace of Dean Saunders there.
It's a free kick to Liverpool. With 14 minutes played. Barnes leaves it. And Knight catches it well enough. Jan Molby's free kick.
Yeah, there was good movement in the box as well from the Liverpool players. And I think it's Chris Burns who just manages to get his body in the way to take the pace off Ian Rush's header.
Liverpool have won the FA Cup 4 times. They didn't win it at all until 1965 and Ian St John's famous diving header against Leeds. And 1974 also under Bill Shankly, twice under Kenny Dalglish in 86 and 89 at the expense of Everton. Thomas. For Saunders. Oh, and Alan Knight stopped the first one. And Kit Simons was the second line of defence. But that was a rare opportunity for Liverpool, and Alan Knight was equal to it.
Yes, a brilliant little ball from Michael Thomas here. Just watch that, little reverse ball, and I would have bet money on Dean Saunders here. I thought he would have just lifted it a bit more. Give the goalkeeper credit, he spreads himself well, but it was there for him just to lift it over the goalkeeper and put Liverpool 1 up.
Here comes Saunders again. Rush. Anderton having to chase back with Nicol. And Barnes giving Neil a chasing. Simons was there in the nick of time again.
Well, this is a testing little time for Portsmouth. Liverpool just starting to exert a little bit of pressure.
Nicol. But both sides have had a real sight at the opposition's goal. And there is, apart from the prize at stake, an attractiveness about the meeting between these representatives of first and second divisions. Simply by the nature of their play, Portsmouth have won a lot of admirers rightly this season, as Jim Smith has put together this combination of precocious young talent, and we shouldn't forget a number of good, sound, solid second division professionals who have helped them and supported them. The youngsters have tended to get the headlines. Simons is one of those. Here's Burrows. In more familiar territory at the moment. It'll roll off rush for him again. Barnes is through the middle now for Liverpool. And he skipped away from Simons. Thomas is coming in. Saunders holding at the far post. Whelan has got there as well. Portsmouth stopped the ball at the expense of a corner. What is absolutely undeniable is the talent that Liverpool have at their disposal. Largely because of injuries, the team play hasn't quite been what they wanted week in, week out. They have lost 5 of their last 8 games. That's most un-Liverpool-like.
But what they're also doing, it's very Liverpool-like, Martin. The players, no matter who they pick, they all know what they've got to do. That's pass the ball and control it and move. And even tonight, has shown at times great examples of that. Anyone watching, any kids watching, the way they pass and move. Very little standing still from the Liverpool players.
Oh, and Rush with a long leg was telescoping forward. Then Ian Rush has got a good record on this ground. He got half a dozen goals for Liverpool here.
Yes, they're threatening more and more, aren't they, Liverpool? He's only a fraction away from that, Rushy.
Daniel, whose injury problem was a damaged left knee, which was sustained in the last of the pre-season games. But the left foot working well until it came to the cross. Burns. Molby. Saunders pulling to the right-hand side. Whelan jogging through the centre with Rush.
Well, Ray Daniel had a wonderful opportunity there, Martin, when he got free wide on the left there. He had both Colin Clark and Alan McLaughlin free at the near post. If only he could have missed out Mark Wright.
Well, for a long time they used to talk about semi-finals as tight, tense affairs. But although there is obviously strain and stress here, the game developing along open lines. Saunders. And Martin Dudnam was very much up with play then, as Liverpool supporters, more than the players wearing red, yelled for a penalty.
Well,
Consignment to the defender.
Yeah, just look at this, he just leans on him there, doesn't he? And I think there's a one or two referees might have taken a different view of this. Just watch the way the defender leans on Dean Saunders there.
Defenders have been doing that for years and getting away with it.
And not always.
Why should it change in a semi-final?
You're quite right about the semi-final so far. We really have had nothing at all negative about this game.
Here's Wright. Jones. He must still be pinching himself, Rob Jones, to believe he's part of all this. Played more than 30 games for Liverpool now. Nicol. Saunders. It is interesting to see the final shape of the Liverpool side, given that they had plenty of options, really. The only two major names on the casualty list, Steve McManaman and Ronnie Rosenthal, who picked up an injury against Wimbledon on Tuesday. Beresford.
The thing about the Liverpool side, though, man, it doesn't matter who they pick. They interchange so many times and so often during the game that they can just pick 11 and just say, go out and play, especially when they're playing well and passing it well.
Here's Anderton. Simons, now of Portsmouth and Wales, played once against the Irish in February. Rush, Thomas giving him plenty of support from midfield. Mulvey just holding off, as he loves to do, and picking the passes. Here's Saunders, into the feet of Thomas. Help is there outside him from Jones, but Thomas was trying something different and potentially dangerous to Portsmouth. And Andy, I'm sure you'd encourage your players to, in this area of the pitch, it's worth a trick or two.
Oh yeah, you've got to try something different, haven't you? You can see there he just loses his footing, and really Andy Offord not guilty of anything there. When you get players back in the penalty area like that, you do try and encourage players to try things.
This is cool. Now Nicol. Barnes in close support. Whelan made an interesting run then. And it's Thomas who blasted into the whole turn. Portsmouth just moved out quickly enough to making contact for Michael Thomas that much more difficult.
Certainly John Barnes is getting plenty of the ball, and again it's him the move starts from. Difficult for Michael Thomas to have done better there. He's been pressed very well by a couple of Portsmouth defenders.
Rush, Whelan, Barnes leaving space for Nicol to burst into again. Thomas is there! Well, we talked about Steve Nicol at left-back to cover Darren Anderton, but it's the other way around at the moment.
This is a great ball in, and I think a better header of the ball might have done better. It is slightly behind Michael Thomas, to be fair to the lad. He's just in a little bit early. You see, he has to arch his body back, and he's a little bit past the near post, and that's what made the chance difficult. But if you're playing against someone of the talents of Darren Anderton, best way to nullify that, Martin, is to get him chasing you back towards his own goal. And that's what Steve Nicol did there.
Rush came off cool, awkward for Warren Neal. Rush settling for the throw. It's given Portsmouth's way. 20 minutes to go to half-time. A game that kicked off more than 15 minutes late because of the difficulties of getting everybody into Villa Park. Right. Cool, who used to play here in Birmingham for Birmingham City, and Rush with a snapshot then. We tend to labour the point about Ian Rush's FA Cup goal-scoring record. What would worry him is that he hasn't scored in the competition this season.
I'm sure that Jim Smith wouldn't like to have heard you say that. But Liverpool have obviously learned from the first game in respect that I think what they've done is they've said to both fullbacks, push right in on the two wide Portsmouth players, that's Darren Anderton and John Beresford, and try and stop them getting the ball, because with Portsmouth only playing one up front, then the two central defenders should be able to cope with Colin Clark.
Here's Burrows. It was only 2 years ago, of course, when they were beaten here by Crystal Palace. An afternoon when it seemed to be a mission impossible for Palace. But the FA Cup has a way of bridging the gap in what apparently are unequal contests.
That's the beauty of this competition, isn't it, though?
Clark. Burns, who does so much fetching and carrying in Portsmouth's midfield. McLaughlin is the player that Liverpool had a problem tracking down at Highbury. But Liverpool making most of the running. There's no great surprise in that, but they haven't put their share of the ball to scoring use yet. Whelan. Now Barnes. It was Simons, who's had a lot of work to do already, who was stretching. Saunders! Well, he was coming across the line of the ball then, and Alan Knight might not have seen him straight away.
It really is the hardest run in the book to cope with that diagonal run, but that's why Jan Moby's playing tonight. He spots him, he picks out a perfect ball, and it's just a bounce that defeats Dean Saunders. That was great football.
Clark guiding it down to McLaughlin. He in turn for Neal. Clark repositioning by the far post. And it's aimed for Colin Clark. And Burns and McLaughlin hoping that the Northern Ireland international could have headed it across goal. Portsmouth will be concerned at the amount of space that Liverpool are having in midfield, although it's wasted by Thomas there. Neal clipping it for Anderton to chase, but the gleam in Grovelar's eyes as he sees the chance to come off his line again.
What will be worrying for Portsmouth is the amount of ball that John Barnes is getting as well. I mean, he must have been on the ball more than any player in the match so far. And he's a player you'd least, if you were a Portsmouth player, he's a player you'd least want to be on the ball.
Burrows. If you're looking at the Villa Park surface for the first time this season, you can clearly see that cosmetically it needs some improvement. But we say again that the Liverpool players who had the advantage of a league fixture here on Saturday were pleasantly surprised with the roll of the ball.
I think you can see even tonight it hasn't affected the way they've passed the ball. It really is a surface, although it's taking criticism. It's a surface now. If you're confident enough to pass the ball in, you can do.
And there's been no real indication of it affecting the shape of the game so far adversely. Although you would have to say that the players would prefer a Wembley-like bowling green every time they play, any day they play.
Of course they would, but we're playing in England, aren't we? You don't get pitches like that every day you play. But I think that little cheer there when Ronnie Whelan passed the ball out of play from the Portsmouth fans, a measure of how well Liverpool have passed the ball for the first half hour of this game.
Well, it's the essence of the way they prepare. Legendary for their competitive 5-a-sides, 8-a-sides, a regular diet of their training programme. And I stress the word competitive. They can tell you the scores every day of the week, the results at their Melwood training ground. And that's all translated into this will to win. And the style of play comes from the type of movement that the smaller-sided games give them in preparation. Like this, Saunders. Nichols available. Helping him is Molby and indeed Whelan. Portsmouth at the moment battling to keep pace with it.
It's a measure of their patience as well, Liverpool's, isn't it, and their experience. They're quite prepared to pass it about and wait for the opening to appear. Not looking to thread a 50-50 ball or anything like that. Passing to their own red shirts.
Burrows probing on this time. Possession is one thing. Passing, certainly you would compliment Liverpool for that, but it's penetration that they've got to achieve on a night when there has to be a definite outcome.
I think you're right there, and watching a cup final this week already, it was noticeable that the team who were defending, Manchester United, against Nottingham Forest, had plenty of the ball for us, but had no real penetration. Where I think this game differs is, I think Liverpool have shown us already that they are capable of piercing Portsmouth, and in fact on 2 or 3 occasions could have done already.
Jim Smith's team were presented with a sight of goal, first of all by Bruce Grobbelaar's headstrong charge off his line. Since then, Liverpool really have dictated the shape of proceedings. But the one really awkward moment for Alan Knight when he was confronted by Dean Saunders, and Portsmouth survived that. Rush. Daniel gets it back for Portsmouth. Older viewers, of course, will regard Portsmouth as a big club, good enough to win the League Championship twice just after the Second World War. I can remember in the 70s when they fell on very hard times, when they could hardly pay the players' wages. And they slumped all the way down to the 4th division, but they bounced back, got to the 1st division fleetingly in 1987 under Alan Ball. And they feel now, if they can keep this team together, that the very good times are on the way back to Fratton Park. Burrows. Portsmouth haven't really had enough of the ball to try and see whether there is a crack or two in the centre of that defence, with Burrows playing pretty wide of Mark Wright. The 2 fullbacks, Jones and Nicholl, taking up wide positions. Barnes. Molby, who makes it all look so easy, as does Barnes. Saunders with an early cross. Oh, Kit Symons is built to deal with those. Headed back by Molby. It was a straightforward ball in from Dean Saunders, and Liverpool without a Colin Clark type of player to go for the headers, and really that's meat and drink for Symons.
Yes, it is for Kit Symons. He should be able to deal with it. What he's looking for, Saunders, is a perfect ball there, in between defenders, where one of the Liverpool players, Ian Rush, John Barnes, maybe standing.
It's hit over Nicol by Orford. It's a ball that Portsmouth will try to play for Darren Anderton. The header down by Burns. Saunders helping out on the right of midfield. Remember, no Ray Houghton for Liverpool tonight. Omitted from the 13. John Beresford catching Dean Saunders. Mulvey. Cloughlin harassing him. 10 minutes to go to half-time. Clark, Anderton was wanting to go for a return pass, was actually blocked off the ball. And away from the gaze of the referee.
This really has been hard work for the Portsmouth players. There's nothing harder in the game than chasing the ball when a team is passing it around. Physically, it's very demanding. And Portsmouth really have got to dig in there. Jim Smith will be hoping his team can keep it clean till half-time, and perhaps he may tinker with a couple of things at half-time.
Clark, even he has to come deep just to get another body into the area that Liverpool are dominating. Daniel, who moved on from his first club Luton to Hull and then to Cardiff. Oh, Anderton had gone a little early, he was going to be offside had the ball got through. Nicol. At this stage you do fear for Portsmouth, but it's still 0-0. Nicol. It's over Rush. Well, it was a lottery when it dropped, when Portsmouth allowed the ball to drop.
They're actually very, very deep when this cross comes in. They're almost on Alan Knight's goal line. They're only 2 or 3 yards from their own goal. Just watch as it drops in there. Chris Burns didn't show composure like that when he was a Cheltenham player. But great composure for him tonight.
Rush got it away from Simons. Barnes with a run at Neil. Liverpool flooding into the centre. And Portsmouth concede a free kick right on the edge. Warren Neal holding up Barnes unfairly.
Well, John Barnes looks to me as if he's in a real positive frame of mind tonight. Got the ball and he's looked to go at players from the word go.
Well, it's the opposite side from the free kick at Highbury, and a little wider as well.
But I would suggest
similar...
I would suggest that Jan Molby territory, maybe?
Well, after what happened against Ipswich in the replay, but he tees it up for Nicol. And when you can hit the ball as Molby can, I'm just wondering whether the referee in fact had given an indirect free kick then.
Might well have done, but when you have someone like, in fact you have two, I think that would be a worry if I was Jim Smith about giving free kicks away anywhere around the edge of my box. Certainly after the first game, when you've got people like Molby and Barnes in the team who really can create a goal from nothing from that area.
Cool. Martin Cool, who's a very sound technical player in Portsmouth midfield. And, as you might say, he is the leader of the gang. McLaughlin. Now Neil. Cool moving off through the middle. Anderton wanting some help to his left. Daniel. It's a pretty confident piece of work for a player starting for only the second time this season. Burns. Well, when you've earned your living as a bricklayer, you're a tough nut to crack, and Chris Burns revelling in the opportunity that football is giving to him. He's joined Simons at the far post, John Beresford to take the free kick. Can't get it past the first man, Rob Jones. Beresford tries again. It's a corner.
That'd be disappointing, that free kick situation for Portsmouth and Jim Smith, because they've had few chances in that area, and when you get the precious few chances in a semi-final, you at least have to put the ball in an area your teammates can score from.
Well, we've got Simons by the near post, Clark behind him. Off comes Grobbelaar from his line. It's a good punch. Neil. Daniel, number 10, but the left back. Beresford ahead of him. Oh, and Clark stretching forward then.
Now that's a better ball from John Beresford there. Smashed it across the goal at pace.
Anderton. Rush kicked the ball into his face, I think. McLaughlin pulling wide. There's help behind him from Burns. Anderton still trying to recover his senses. And the referee waiting. And allowing Anderton to have the attentions of Neil Sillett, son of John.
It's the first real bit of pressure though Portsmouth have had or exerted on Liverpool in the whole game. And I think it's just coming at the right time for Jim Smith. He must have been wondering what his team are going to have to do to get this ball off Liverpool. I noticed Martin Cools ran over to the bench to get some instructions from Jim Smith as well.
That's Graham Padden there, who won the FA Cup as a player with West Ham back in 1975. He was the assistant to Jim Smith. Anderton quickly over his troubles. McLaughlin. And the bounce beating Neil. Liverpool's 6th semi-final in 8 seasons. And Portsmouth, who were real novices, at least most of them, at the outset at Highbury, at least learnt some lessons quickly there, and perhaps that stood them in good stead through a difficult first half. In which, as the game started 8 days ago, Liverpool have been in the ascendancy. Saunders. The way Portsmouth play, there are always 2 wide men doing the harassing. Daniel and Beresford on the left. And that to hold Liverpool up and might have done more. McLaughlin. Out comes Grobbelaar. No alarms this time.
But that one little piece of action from Ray Daniel there on the far side, it's what they've done too little of, certainly in the midfield area, and that's pressurised Liverpool. They haven't been able to get near them. I think Ron Atkinson it was that mentioned before the game started about he felt Portsmouth had to play the game at a fast tempo. I think he's right, because it hasn't been fast enough, I don't feel. The tempo hasn't been quick enough for Portsmouth. When it has been, they've looked at their best. That little bit there was an example of that. If they allow Liverpool, even though people go on about this isn't a great Liverpool side, this is a Liverpool side that if you're allowed to pass the ball about and control the game, they can hurt you.
Handball by Rush, who might have felt he was pushed onto the ball. I'm sure a lot of support around Britain for the underdog Portsmouth, but a lot of sympathy for Graham Souness as well. Whelan. Paramount for Portsmouth to keep Liverpool out before half-time. Right. Saunders setting off again, and he's drawn defenders away from Thomas. Rush. It's a bit tight. It's a bit intricate. Not for the first time.
I'll tell you what was brilliant though, his layoff wasn't what he wanted, Ian Rush, but did you see his reaction? He didn't play it, played it to a Portsmouth player, but was quick enough, reacted and won the ball back within seconds. That was great play.
Mulvey with another effortless touch in the right direction. It's half-time at Villa Park, a half in which Portsmouth have had to do a lot of defending, but they had one great opportunity, Darren Anderton, when Bruce Grobbelaar raced off his line. Liverpool with so much more of the ball, intricate in their passing, maybe a little over-elaborate at times, we shall see. Dean Saunders in the clear against Alan Knight, who saved very well with help from Kit Simons behind him. And at half-time at Villa Park, they're still level. It's Portsmouth 0, Liverpool 0. Liverpool out first. They've looked like a group of players with a real mission tonight, recognising the responsibility on their shoulders. Liverpool, a club where winning trophies is not just a bonus, it's expected of them. But Portsmouth have hung on in there with grit and determination. We haven't been able to show you, or they haven't been able to show us, the quality in the attacking side of their game, but they're still in the picture. It's still 0-0.
Yes, and I think for Jim Smith, he could have gone in at half-time and said to his players, OK, they've had plenty of the ball, but we're still 0-0, lads. Believe you can go and win this.
That's one to try and catch Bruce Grobbelaar, far from home. All credit to Martin Cool.
Oh, it shows he's thinking, doesn't it? Just looked up, saw Bruce was just outside his 6-yard box and thought, why not? Let's have a pop.
And if there is one goalkeeper prone to go walkabout, Barnes. Nicol wanting to go forward on the left, but Anderton had covered him well, so Liverpool have to try and express themselves again through the centre, and it wasn't on for Mulvey. Andy, would you expect any tactical tinkering, to use your own words, just before half-time?
Well, certainly not from Liverpool's point of view. I think Ronnie Moran would be fairly happy the way things have gone. But the one thing for Jim Smith would be, at least certainly in the midfield area, we have to be more competitive. We have to get some tackles in, let the Liverpool players know what we're about, and don't give them as much room to exploit us.
McLaughlin. It was Mark Wright who headed the ball waywardly for Liverpool. Colin Clark was offside. Since the match at Highbury, Portsmouth have lost on Merseyside to Tranmere and beaten Grimsby on Saturday. We did feel it was very important for them to win that one, because they seemed so drained, having been so close to knocking Liverpool out. And they run the risk of being drained here with their efforts to try and get the ball off their first division opponents. Jones, whose grandfather played in a semi-final replay in 1947 and was a loser. I hope, from his point of view, that's not an omen. Saunders. Rush just easing it on for Thomas. Mulvey could have had it as well. Whelan trying to stretch Portsmouth a little more. Barnes kept it in. And that took a little bit of doing. And then it was a mistake by Nicol. Well, the Portsmouth fans find an extra note of optimism in their voices when Darren Anderton is invited to stretch forward as he was then.
Yeah, good play from Mark Wright. Saw the danger early and just drifted away from Colin Clark to cover Darren Anderton's run.
Well, I'm sure many of you felt that while that Portsmouth played at Highbury, Liverpool would come on too strong in the replay. Although they've controlled the shape of the match, they've had no reward for it as yet. Saunders tries to change that. Ray Daniels stuck at it. And every Portsmouth player within 25 yards of Alan Knight's goal. And the odds were that one of them would be in the right place. It was Burns. Saunders. Now Whelan. Plays for another corner and gets it. It's level on the corner count as well. The main danger in the air is, of course, Mark Wright. Ian Rush right into the goal area. Barnes placing the ball for another corner, and Mulvey comes for the short one. Jones neglected by Portsmouth. Wright with a chance to head it down. Retrieved here by Nicol. Right, Jones setting off. Beresford has covered him. Now Mulvey. Well, you don't need speed when you've got stealth. Owen Barnes. Back to goal. Daniel had to be careful. Oh, and it was drilled by Mulvey with most of the force that right foot can muster.
Well, Mulvey and Barnes again, isn't it, they combine. John Barnes just looking back. You can see what Jan Mulvey tries to do. Tries to bend it in the corner, but just starts it too near the goalkeeper.
Here's Burrows.
It really is a hang in there at the moment, Martin, for Portsmouth.
But again, it's the essence of the FA Cup. But Barnes has them panicking. Saunders sprinting in, couldn't stretch towards it, but has kept on running. Blocked fairly enough by Daniel. Good work by Beresford, excellent play. Portsmouth having to do most of their work under pressure, but they might be able to build here with McLaughlin. And now Neil. They're looking for a smash and grab now. And they have grabbed a corner.
Well, sorry, Mark, that's definitely the shape of the game, isn't it? It's Liverpool, patient, probing, keeping them under pressure. Portsmouth trying to see that pressure off and hoping to catch Liverpool on the break. And which formula will succeed? That's what we wonder at the moment.
Well, opportunities for Portsmouth have been rare, but this is one of them. Beresford to take the corner. Simons peeling away from the near post. Oh, it came off Nicol! And Robillard saved him. Well, that's a thank you for what happened at Highbury when Robillard knocked the ball onto Clark's head and Steve Nicol was on the line. Whelan. Jones trying to take on Cool. And an excellent piece of defending by Andy Orford.
Good position that was that Andy Orford takes here. He knows where the danger is, it's in that near post area. And had he missed it, Ian Rush is coming in on top of it.
And didn't Alan Knight know it? Thomas with the corner this time, an orthodox one. McLaughlin leading the breakout. Neil was tripped by his teammate, and that's wrong-footed, the second division side. And Barnes wanted more than a corner then, you felt. And he's got less than that.
Well, what would have happened, I'm sure, is that when John Barnes picked up the ball, his eyes would have lit up, because it was Colin Clark, the last man defending him. Let's give Colin Clark some credit. He didn't have to well to hold up John Barnes.
Beresford aiming for Clark and finding him. Help there from McLaughlin. Now Anderton. This is being put together well by Portsmouth. Warren Neal. The tackle from Burrows. Thomas has played it behind Saunders. The problem is for Portsmouth to find the energy to attack in a collective way when they're having to do so much chasing.
That must always be on their minds when men are looking to get forward and join up with them. One or two of them must just be thinking, hold on a minute, what happens if we lose it? But if you're going to win a game, when you have possession and you've got people who get forward, you've got to get them forward and into the danger area.
Anderton, there's no offside. It's Neal, three in the centre for Portsmouth. And it's scooped up by Grobbelaar. And four wearing blue are out of the play at the moment because of their efforts to attack. Barnes. Michael Thomas has tried very hard to get in there alongside Ian Rush when Dean Saunders has been out on the flanks. Thomas has twice lost at Villa Park this season. For Liverpool on Saturday and for Arsenal back in August. I'm sure that's a fact that will please Andy Gray and Ron Atkinson. Rush. Now Saunders. Jones trying to dink it in towards Rush. Could you ask for Liverpool to be a bit more direct? Mulby. But playing this way, they must feel that a goal will come. Portsmouth will have ideas of their own. Whelan. Burrows backing off. Barnes dropping off. And Clark trying hard again, but Burrows skipped past him. Rush. And Liverpool quickly on the scene again.
He would have felt that challenge, Alan McLaughlin, wouldn't he? Probably the smallest man in the pitch, and Jan Mulby almost flattens him here.
Yes,
John Barnes tries a little bit something out the ordinary, which is his challenge.
It's like walking under a steamroller. Saunders able to get the ball and face the goal. And And the flag was up against Rush. Two Welshmen against one here. Saunders and Rush against Kit Symons, who, despite the concern felt by our guest tonight when he challenged in the penalty area, Symons has performed honourably. Rush. Thomas. Anderton again tracking back with Nicol, stopping Liverpool down the left. That's good coordinated defending by Portsmouth again. Mulby. Burrows. Well, the game has really changed from this pattern. Mulby. Well, it wouldn't have counted had it been on target. Ian Rush characteristically was following in case the ball came back off the post or the goalkeeper.
But more like it, when you've got so many men behind the ball as Portsmouth are doing, then Liverpool really do have to look when they've got possession for a few more digs from that range. I'm sure Jan Mulby would have preferred it on his right foot as well.
Burrows. And Rush is offside again. Well, how often have we seen this in the FA Cup? The underdog hanging on and still in a position to bite. Liverpool's control will count for nothing.
That's for sure. Goals that win games, isn't it?
If they don't score. Rush. Orford. Andy Orford, who used to go and watch Liverpool when he had the chance from his base in the Midlands. He started in senior football with Worcester City, of course, as a 15-year-old, played in the FA Cup at 15, and learnt by observation from Liverpool's example. Neil, offside against Anderton. One of the two Liverpool substitutes tonight, and you can see the other there, Mark Walters, of course, the former Aston Villa player. Oh, Thomas had pulled away and got on the blind side of the entire Portsmouth defence to Barnes' pass, which he couldn't quite rein in. Jones. Nice first touch from Anderton. So give him the luxury of the second. Colin Clark still charging away on his own.
I know that that's a free kick, but just for a second though, it looked as if Michael Thomas was through. Dean Saunders again made a great diagonal run. This time Ray Daniel followed him, and that created a huge space for Michael Thomas to go into, and just a fraction earlier he would have got his foot on that and been real danger. And
after that, Colin Clark was trying to have a touch of the ball in the Liverpool half. He's worked back in his own half often enough. That's been dictated to him. Here he is again now. Here's Wright. Thomas. Here's Mulby. Now Rush. Rush joining Saunders in the centre. and it might deflect his way. It does. Orford patrols him out of the area, and Whelan miskicks. And here's Burns. Here's the furthest forward, but Beresford has made a terrific run here. Is this the moment for Portsmouth? They're pouring into the centre, and the cross, well hit though it was, couldn't pick out a fellow blue shirt. Well, that was just what Portsmouth were hoping for until it came to the final ball. They've got Clark going in here. They've got a corner. And like a sponge, they've been soaking it up. Beresford to take the corner. Having broken away so menacingly a moment ago. Just over Clark, knocked out by Nicol. It's a free kick to Portsmouth.
Now Liverpool's turn to exert some pressure, or be under some pressure, isn't it?
And Barnes kicked out to show that he was feeling the strain. That was what provoked the fury from the Portsmouth fans. They're looking for joy now. Rush with a run here against Orford. And it's a free kick to Portsmouth against Ian Rush, who had his frustrations at Highbury. He was booked for dissent.
I think the referee, though, watch his left arm. There it goes, just goes round Andy Orford's neck. And I think the referee absolutely spot on there.
But what a confrontation it was between the 19-year-old defender and the striker who's seen it all, done it all, scored everywhere he's been, including FA Cup semi-finals. Anderton. Portsmouth have found some energy here. Oh, and it came behind Clark, nearly to McLaughlin. But as they try and seize their chance, maybe they'll be more vulnerable, more space for Liverpool to use.
It actually might help Liverpool in many respects if they can get Portsmouth to come out a little bit and attack them, because it then will open it up a bit for Liverpool, who've really found it difficult to penetrate Portsmouth. They've got lots of men back behind the ball.
20 minutes gone in the second half. Portsmouth 0, Liverpool 0. For all the endeavours of Dean Saunders and for all the possession that Liverpool have had. Whelan. Nicol. Barnes moving away to try and get free. Rush was able to do that. Saunders. Portsmouth push them further away from goal. Burrows. Here's Whelan. Oh, and again it's a tribute to the effort that Portsmouth are putting in. Although Liverpool put the passes together, it's all being played in front of the second division team.
And it is an effort, that's the word used quite rightly, because it is, as I said earlier, in the first half, it really is tiring when you have to defend for long times without the ball. Chase it all the time.
Can they hold out? Mulvey taking it in his stride. And Beresford says no, as Liverpool say, why not? Especially from the bench. And when Mulvey took the ball up then, Beresford looked in dire danger of giving away a penalty.
I didn't think it was. You watch Jan Mulvey, I think he goes looking for it. He goes over from this angle. I know the Liverpool bench looked incensed, Martin, but we've got a great angle where we're sitting up in the gantry here. And my first reaction was it wasn't a penalty.
Rush. Liverpool's bench, renowned for the non-stop conversation, shall we say. And they found plenty to talk about then. Rush, an offside here against Thomas. There's another factor that Ronnie Moran may have to consider. We referred to Liverpool's injuries so often this season, but a number of the players who have been put out in the starting 11 tonight haven't had too many matches, certainly not matches of this nature where there's such a drain physically and mentally. Out comes Grobbelaar, Burns furthest forward for Portsmouth.
But I think they did show that on the first game when they were down to 10 men in extra time, they did show character, they did show strength, and they did show a desire to keep going. And I think those same things will show through tonight.
That's the way they're brought up to play. Certainly Ronnie Whelan stayed the course splendidly at Highbury, but I wonder whether he might be a player who's not quite moving as freely as he has been at the moment. He's holding off in midfield as Liverpool build with Barnes on the left. Whelan involved now. Mulvey. Rush for Saunders. Well, again, you just wonder if they're looking for the perfect goal.
Well, at times you do. I think we're just looking at the sidelines. The number 5 has gone up, the 5 board has gone up. It does look like Ronnie Whelan is coming off, and I think it's Barry Venison is going to be coming on.
Well, Ronnie Whelan, who twice has scored saving goals in semi-finals for Liverpool. Once he's lost the replay. He goes off now, not knowing the outcome on the second occasion. Barry Venison is the replacement. And he's gone, for the moment, into midfield.
I mean, I suppose in many ways they could actually, if they felt that way inclined, they could push Steve Nicol back into the centre of defence, push Barry Venison or Rob Jones to the left back, and push David Burrows into midfield to give him a bit more power and directness.
Wright's header. And Colin Clark was hurt in that challenge, and he's indicating to the bench that he needs attention. And he'll get it now.
But it looks as if they've got problems, Mark. I see Alan McLaughlin saying no, that's it, he's finished. Oh, that's it. Definitely changing over.
Guy Whittingham is on. Sympathy all around Villa Park for Colin Clark. So the game will restart with a drop ball. Martin Boddenham very quickly appreciating the need to call a halt to the play. And on we go again. Barnes. Knight started to come, realised it wasn't quite his ball. Venison, it's over Saunders. Neil's header goes to Mulvey. Did that hit the referee?
Great stop referee, wasn't it?
Portsmouth for a second playing with 12.
Struck it ever so well.
The way Liverpool have pummeled them, they're entitled to be black and blue. It's a Liverpool free kick. But for all the pummeling, they haven't knocked them over yet. Knocked them out of the FA Cup. Mulvey to take the free kick. This is a difficult moment for Portsmouth. But in the air, they've been strong. Burrows. And Whittingham was so anxious to try and close him down then. But his feet got caught in the grass seed in the centre of the pitch. 15 minutes away from extra time. Rush. Now Whittingham held his ground well, made sure that the ball got to Daniel, but he wasn't wanting it played back in there.
Well, he's asking a lot there, wasn't he, from Guy Whittingham? You have to say that, certainly in the second half, that Portsmouth have certainly defended well and kept Liverpool at bay quite comfortably, and have grown more and more comfortable at the back as the game has gone on. And just wonder when the time will come and Portsmouth think, let's wait a minute, we can actually go and win this game.
Mulvey still pulling the strings. And at the end of one of them was Saunders, but alongside him, the very vigilant Kit Symons, who's added to his rising stature again tonight.
Might actually be worth Liverpool's while, just for, say, the last 15 minutes of normal time, to say to Dean Saunders, go play up front beside Rushy, because they've now got a natural right-sided player in midfield in Barry Venison.
Beresford, and Whittingham stopped by Burrows. Beresford on the scene again, right, got back. Without ever dominating the play, Portsmouth have also made more attacks in the second half. We scarcely saw them as an attacking force in the first. Another neat interception from Orford. Daniel offside against Whittingham. Whittingham has to live with this label of being the man who bought himself out of the army, or got the club to buy him out of the army. But has scored goals, particularly in the FA Cup. Got 7 in 2 games last season, at the expense of Barnet and Bournemouth. Not quite Liverpool, but he's still a player who could, if given the chance, give us this piece of FA Cup history that is still a possibility. Are we going to witness the very first all-second division final? Not if Liverpool have anything to do with it. Daniel with a throw. Mulvey. Now Whittingham. Mulvey. Nicol breaking, and this time he's just got a yard on Anderton. Is that going to be costly for Portsmouth? It was Nicol who came forward and earned the free kick at the crucial stage. It's Mulvey's shot at Highbury. But for the most part, Darren Anderton has been very vigilant against Nicol, but on that occasion he was just caught watching the ball and not watching the run.
Yeah, he has done well, Darren Anderton, but I'm sure he would rather have imposed himself more on Steve Nicol than he's been able to.
Portsmouth have to have the ball for that, though.
Yes, they do.
But the longer it goes on, well, they've stuck at it, Jim Smith's men.
Well, they've certainly done that, but you're in the semi-final of the FA Cup, you know, the greatest cup competition in the world. You're going to stick at it, you're going to work as hard as you've ever worked in your life to get a result, and if that means, I'm sure for the Portsmouth lads, if it goes down to the wire and goes to penalties, I'm sure all the two teams, they'll quite fancy themselves for that. All the pressure's on Liverpool really to win this game. I think everyone expected that was it. Underdogs get one chance, and if they don't take it, then perhaps then that's all over for them.
Warren Aspinall, who also knows all about Villa Park, he had a spell here.
I think I was here as well.
It wasn't a successful time for the club, Andy, was it? I hate to remind you.
No, it wasn't.
But the two former Villa men, Walters and Aspinall, still wait on the sidelines. Oh, and Knight started to come, hesitated, and dare we call it Grobbelaar-like.
Well played, goalkeeper.
Although Daniel was danger of giving away a free kick, then felt he was fouled. It is, in fact, a free kick to Liverpool. So the first infringement was blown for. This is Thomas. Oh, it breaks for Portsmouth. Off Jones for Whittingham. Burrows is the last man, and Whittingham tries to speed past him, and David Burrows wasn't going to let that happen. Just for a second it looked as though Whittingham had the acceleration and something spectacular was about to happen.
Well, fresh legs on the park, and didn't David Burrows know that? Look, he's struggling to get back there, but at the end he just forces him wide enough.
But it's a corner to Portsmouth. Orford hoping to deliver it back into the heart of Liverpool while they were still regrouping, could only put it out of play. And what a season of FA Cup upsets this has been. And you start to wonder whether another one could happen. Portsmouth, who know what it's like to be in front against Liverpool, and then also know what it's like to have that joy snatched from them. Burrows. Seven is Neil. And the game still goes on. And it's going Liverpool's way with Saunders. Venison an outlet to the right, but Mulvey painted to go through the middle, knew where he was all along. Here's Nicol. Barnes. Anderton trying to stop him getting round the outside, and he's done that at the cost of a corner. Those who normally stand on the Kop are making their voices heard at Villa Park. Liverpool looking for a goal which could take them to Wembley. And Mark Wright, who still hasn't scored since his move from Derby.
Well, he's almost there. It's an un-Liverpool type corner in the fact that they just knock it into the middle. You see, he makes his presence felt there, Mark Wright, but just doesn't get enough contact on the ball. The one thing you can be sure of in Liverpool, though, they'll not get frustrated. They're not just revert to whacking the ball upfield. They're drummed in the way that if it's going to take 120 minutes, let it take 120 minutes. But don't lose a goal by chasing one foolishly.
Six minutes left, and then if it stays this way, extra time. That's good work from Cool. Oh, Anderton played into the same area that he galloped into at Arsenal's ground, and Grobbelaar this time came up with a different solution. He was ready for it. Jones. Now Mulvey. Saunders. Daniel's got plenty of speed. Saunders prepared to try and run him. Orford stuck out a foot effectively. McLaughlin hasn't been too effective as an attacking force tonight, but we've had one or two moments from Beresford, and there's another looming Here's Burns. It just spins away from Barnes to Neil. Cool. Simons. Will it drop for Whittingham? He's taken it well. McLaughlin's there if he rolls it to him, and he's gone outside for Neil. McLaughlin's still there. Beresford is there. Oh, it's against the bar. When it looked as though the ball had gone out, McLaughlin. Liverpool waited momentarily for a whistle that didn't come, and Alan McLaughlin had glory before him then. Daniel, it's out now.
Well, that was quite incredible. It was almost as if the Liverpool players thought the ball had gone out as well. As it comes across here, it's McLaughlin that goes up first, but watch John Beresford here. Doesn't give the ball up. Gets it, I think we'll see here, he keeps it in. Keeps the ball in play, just there. Liverpool stop, and Alan McLaughlin almost makes them pay. What a glorious chance for him to have won the game for Portsmouth.
Well, it had Wembley written all over it. So Liverpool, who struck the Portsmouth bar at Highbury, threw in Rush. That was an extra time. Maybe now they'll be feeling fortunate to get to extra time because of McLaughlin's miss, and it has to go down as that. It was golden.
I mean, that must always have been nagging at the back of their minds, honestly, Martin, because they've dominated for so long, and yet there was always a chance they were going to concede. Look at Alan McLaughlin, there he is there, right on the edge of the 6-yard box. Look, they've all given it up. Look at David Burrows standing there with his hand up. Absolutely fatal it could have been.
I think looking at it from both those angles, the whole of the ball didn't cross the line. Anderton. Great tackle again by Burrows. First on the scene is Guy Whittingham. Then Grobbelaar, who wants to throw it quickly. McLaughlin put an arm up to try and stop that. Bruce wasn't best pleased. Jones. Well, you have to hand it to Portsmouth. They've been on the receiving end for so long, but as the game has gone on, they've got stronger and they've got nearer.
Yeah, I'm sure if Jim Smith could have given the perfect tactics talk, Martin, it would have been hold them as long as you can and let's score in the last couple of minutes. And it also nearly came right for them.
Saunders. Broken up by Cool. Oh, Simons got away with it.
To be fair, Martin Cool has played him a ball there that he's got no right to play him. He doesn't know what's behind him. And that was Ian Rush again. He's just lurks there, waiting for any half chance to win the ball back.
Well, I wonder what Malcolm Crosby's thinking of all this. Fancy him saying that he doesn't mind who he meets in the final. We all know what he really thinks.
I think Malcolm being a little bit diplomatic there, and wouldn't you be, Martin?
I think he'd have been a bit disappointed that Alan McLaughlin didn't put that one in the back of the net.
I could have swore I seen him jump out his seat there in that studio.
Jones. Now Venison. Portsmouth, who've had this amazing progress against teams that play in red. And even the most superstitious must have feared Liverpool. They certainly fear them now. It's Thomas to Rush. No free kick. Kit Simons, again running close to his immediate opponent, as he did contentiously in the first half.
I don't say there's any intent here, but I mean, it's really got to be a free kick, hasn't it? The striker's got clear and his heels are clipped. Whether it was deliberate or unintentional, it's still a free kick.
McLaughlin, Barnes was trying to hold Neil off the ball. McLaughlin's cross. But it was typical of McLaughlin, as we were saying earlier, he'd hardly been a threat. But he is a player with an eye for an opportunity, and he was in just the right position when he hit the bar. I'm afraid for Portsmouth, it just wasn't the right shot. Saunders. Mike coming out, Thomas, Now, where was the ball held by the goalkeeper then?
He could be off, Martin. If he's handled it outside the box.
The linesman was right in line.
I think he's quite right, the linesman. If you watch, Alan Knight gets caught in no man's land, he's thinking, oh, what do I do? And there's the handball. The referee obviously is letting away with it.
Well, he's ruled that Alan Knight didn't know really where he was, and it wasn't an intent to handle outside the area. That's what he's ruled.
Is that the rule?
Well, it's a free kick, it's John Barnes, it's memories of Highbury. First of all, Portsmouth put a player on the post, and then they've thought better of that. This is more central than the one that Barnes put against Alan Knight's left-hand post at Highbury.
I think they're going to try and get Ray Daniel back on the post here. He's just on the right of the wall as we look at it. And it might be that he just backs off just before they take the free kick.
There he goes, and the ball, Barnes again. It was certainly a point Jim Smith was discussing in the week, how best to defend against the Barnes free kicks. Mulvey. Jones. Barnes. Is it going to be a drama at the end? Guy Whittingham went in, Barnes fell. And Martin Bodnam again says play on. At least he's been consistent.
He has been consistent. He's denied them 3 times. I mean, that again, we see it from there. That does look as if he's just been pushed off the ball, John Barnes, doesn't it?
Forwards are notoriously bad in their own penalty area when it comes to those situations. And Whittingham miskicking now as if he was still thinking thoughts of relief that he hadn't given away a last-minute penalty in an FA Cup semi-final replay.
Would have been a brave referee that gave it as well, wouldn't it? I mean, it's amazing when you think he gives a free kick for that. Or does he give a free kick? No, he doesn't.
That's Nicol. Well, the Colin Clark injury extending what's already turning out to be a long night, a late kick-off. We're very close to extra time. We're deep into time that the referee is adding on for the damage to the Portsmouth striker. And we're still no nearer knowing the answer. Burns was pretty calm in the circumstances from right. It wasn't decisive. Burns again. McLaughlin was caught just watching, as if praying that something would unveil itself for Portsmouth. Saunders. Ray Daniel's done well.
Oh, he's played well tonight. Definitely had a great game. Must have known he would be up against an awful lot of pace. And Jim Smith has gambled with him, but he hasn't let him down one little bit.
Nicol. Well, I wonder whether he was trying to head it goalwards.
If he was, it was ambitious.
The second half started in the same vein as the first, with Liverpool in control, but Portsmouth really got to grips with it, and Alan McLaughlin could have won it. And now, in the semi-final replay against Portsmouth from the second division, it's extra time again. Venison. Martin Cool, haven't seen too much of him in an advanced position for Portsmouth. Plenty of Beresford, it's behind Whittingham, well met by Nicol. Daniel. Beresford on the way back, and quick enough to get there. He's still full of running. Really has been something of a second coming in football at Portsmouth for John Beresford, who was an apprentice at Manchester City, an England youth player, and he's causing Liverpool no end of concern at the moment.
I tell you what's helped Portsmouth as well. I know it's an unfortunate injury, but really since Guy Whittingham came on as well, he's given them an energy in the legs. I mean, Colin Clark holds the ball up very, very well, but he hasn't really got the movement that Guy Whittingham's got. And he's helped him in many respects as he come on. He's been busy, he's been alive, he's been bright.
What about the Liverpool change, Venison for Whelan?
Well, I think if you lose Ronnie Whelan, it's always a downer for you. I think he's a very influential player, and as we saw in the first game, what he's capable of doing right in the last minute of extra time. So I think Liverpool would have been depleted a little bit with the loss of Ronnie Whelan.
Saunders trying to sweep it in.
I think this is a tired-looking shot from Dean Saunders. Comes across them, and he just tries to side-foot it there, and there's no trouble to Alan Knight at all. And he's beginning to show some signs of fatigue as Dean Saunders.
McLaughlin, and that's cleverly played for Neil. Burns was hoping that the cross just carried a bit more weight. Mulvey. Saunders can turn and take on Simons. Maybe half thought about the shot, Mulvey. Quite the zip off the ball for Liverpool at the moment. And after all that they put into the game, that's no surprise. Saunders. The sad news about Colin Clark confirmed he has gone to hospital with a dislocated shoulder. Beresford. There's the angle again that they were looking for, but Nicol well aware of the danger that Darren Anderton can pose, and he's rarely been found too far away from Anderton. And that was one change in strategy from the first game that Liverpool have stuck with throughout this replay. Saunders. Thomas. Burns sticking to it. Daniel in quickly. Whittingham, a little give and go that I don't think Chris Burns really relished at this stage of the proceedings. His lungs are gasping at the moment. Anderton, caught by Nicol. On that occasion, Steve Nicol thought he could get to the ball, but Darren Anderton was too quick for him. And he was going to lose him if Nicol hadn't made contact. Cool. Burns, holding wide on the left, getting the better of Venison. McLaughlin's into the middle, and Whittingham is there as well, with Anderton right alongside him. Really hoping to turn in the cross for Portsmouth.
Well, there's no doubt who started the better in the first period of extra time, and it's Portsmouth. Whether that little flurry at the end of the 90 minutes has convinced the players that they could win the game, but Chris Burns again getting forward into that advanced position.
Saunders goes for goal, and Alan Knight, who has had the domestic difficulties of his wife's illness, happily the worst he feels is over in that respect. We're all delighted to learn that today, and I'm sure she's watching avidly. Mulby. He has got the poise, if not the build, of a ballet dancer.
But even Liverpool's passing now is looking a little bit tired, and it's gone astray.
Neil, came off the head of Mark Wright, very nearly for Whittingham. Mulby. Saunders, the socks down, the tiredness showing, but the willingness is there. Saunders again. For Rush, Portsmouth appeal for offside. Linesman kept his flag down. And there wasn't an angle really for a pass there for Rush. In behind Warren Neal for Barnes.
Well, it really is a test of the fittest now. I mean, there's a lot of players on both sides look as if they're on almost empty and looking as if they have to turn on the reserve tanks to get some energy. They've had to work very, very hard, both sets of players.
But there are other ways. Out comes Grobbelaar, and, well, Whittingham got to the ball. Fortunately for Liverpool, Grobbelaar didn't mow Whittingham down and risked the red card.
The guy Whittingham's a yard away there from making himself a hero, I'm sure.
Daniel. And Saunders has been there to collect balls in midfield on a number of occasions in extra time to keep Liverpool on the move. The hunt is on for a goal that will take one of these sides to Wembley before the players have to endure, and that is the word, the penalty shootout. Great for the spectators, terrible for the traditionalists. When you think of the sagas in FA Cup semi-finals that Liverpool have been involved in, I think it was 1980, 4 games against Arsenal, a couple of them here, before it was finally settled. Venison. Thomas, can he winkle away through? Nichols' cross into an area where perhaps he was entitled to feel a teammate would be lurking. Liverpool's throw.
I think you're right, that's a decent ball in there for Steve Nicholl. I think he's furious that no one's got in there after it.
Mulby hoisting it in, but Knight and no stress then. Well, the perkiest player on the pitch has undoubtedly been Beresford in extra time. Madison staking his claim. He's been on not so long. Burns up well. Beresford again looking to get Anderton in. Barnes, Thomas going to the left. Barnes taking cool with him. Still Barnes. Oh, it was deflected. Knight was going. Barnes goes again with the volley. And well, it just takes one little touch off an outstretched leg, a little flick of fate, and you're out.
And it almost came there. It was just ominous that it dropped back to Barnes. He's an excellent volley of the ball, but he might just produce a piece of magic that will take Liverpool through, but it wasn't to be. But he's looking tired. He's looking like every run he makes now, he's taking that little bit more out of him. But he has missed an awful lot of the season.
McLaughlin. Daniel. Burns inviting the pass with his movement in front of the ball. But Daniel couldn't get it through to him. Touch from Cool. Beresford trying to get it over Liverpool now and having some success. Portsmouth have the throw, invigorating their fans again, who really couldn't have envisaged this at the season start. Whatever happens, Portsmouth can be proud. But being proud, that isn't the best emotion at the end of the night. You want the exhilaration of victory. Someone's got to have it. Rush. Still Portsmouth strong in the centre of their defence. Remember the names, Kit Symons and Andy Orford. And Darren Anderton. Burns ploughing on. Anderton. Outside him comes Neil. Anderton looks the other way for Whittingham. Neil, will he get there? He beats Nicol to it. Finds the corner off him. And it hasn't stayed 0-0 for so long through any lack of attacking effort or initiative.
No, to be fair to Portsmouth, they've attacked whenever they've had the ball and tried to go forward. It's just that for the first 90 minutes, Liverpool didn't give them much over the ball.
And I wouldn't support the view, which was floated before extra time, that Portsmouth came here to play for penalties.
No, you can't gamble on that, surely. Semi-final. I mean, there are teams that have been accused of that. But you can't gamble when you're going to win it in penalties.
I'm sure Jim Smith would feel that his team wouldn't possibly be good enough to try and do that. They've got to do it with their own strategy, stopping Liverpool's strengths and trying to hit on the break. But it's Liverpool looking to hit here with Rush. Thomas was following in well, and Alan Knight didn't take it totally cleanly.
Yeah, but I think he knew, Alan Knight, all he had to do was just stop it. There was no one coming in, he could see that. It was just dipping in front of him. I mean, he's really taken everything quite comfortably tonight. And only really been asked to produce one save of any note, that from Dean Saunders early in the first half.
And what does that tell you about Liverpool, even though they've been pretty in their play? Barnes, 3 ahead of him for Liverpool. Rush trying to smuggle himself into a shooting position. He's worked well to get the ball back. That's what Liverpool have got to do. They've got to scrap it out against the second division team. Jim Smith's proud Pompey playing for their lives here. The lucky red handkerchief is in place beneath the coat. Ronnie Moran and Liverpool don't really believe in superstition. They have a set way of doing things, and they put it down to ability. Barnes, stopped by Anderton. How is it going to be settled? When is it going to be settled? It has to be tonight.
Well, I for one hope somebody scores. I have another one of these. Call me old-fashioned if you want, but I'm not a lover of penalties. I know it makes great television and it's great drama, but games like this shouldn't be decided on penalty kicks.
For one reason alone, that somebody has to live with failure for the rest of their lives, and really the match over the spread of a game dilutes any mistakes, but it concentrates so much on them in a penalty shootout. We're coming towards the end of the first period of extra time. The two ex-Derby colleagues to find an understanding done. They came to Liverpool to win medals and win trophies. If they don't win tonight, they're not going to get anything this season.
They've never won trophies just by being Liverpool players in the past, Mark. They've probably worked as hard as any team in the country at winning these championships, these FA Cups, these European things. They don't just come because you play for Liverpool.
Oh, and coming quickly off his line then was Knight, to the undying gratitude of Andy Orford, who rather scuffed the back pass. Ian Rush almost tracked it down. It was the last act of the first period of extra time. Portsmouth 0, Liverpool 0. And really at this stage, nothing between them.
No, that's for sure, as the scoreline suggests. But since the 90-minute mark, Portsmouth have certainly given as good as they've got in that first period of extra time.
Well, a silent prayer from Mike Bailey on the Portsmouth coaching staff.
They know they're so near. And when players are looking so tired, Martin, you just think that one goal this time will settle it.
A quick turnaround. 15 minutes to go. And Beresford looks as though he could play another 2 hours. Cool. Anderton. Portsmouth attacking right from the kickoff. And Liverpool finally do get a touch from Nicol. Neil with the throw. Cool coming to offer him something for it. It was Anderton who in the end was the target. Anderton was striking for goal, was taking the responsibility, although it was rather extravagantly mishit, but he knows he can score against Liverpool. Saunders. Oh, it was the right idea. Thomas had pulled away to the left. John Barnes is really just standing and watching at times. He looks terribly tired. Jones. Of all the players, the endeavour really is showing greatest on him, and there's a simple explanation for that: the lack of match practice that he's had.
Well, I think most definitely that's what it is. You just see there, the puff of the cheeks told us everything there, didn't it?
But you'd keep him on, rather like your best place kicker in other codes, because if a free kick materialises again, he could send them on their way to Wembley. Must be hard for Mark Walters to take, because he would be a natural replacement. But they're going with Barnes and staying with him.
Yeah, Mark Walters has scored many, many goals at this ground, and he must be walking along that touchline thinking, let me on, just give me one more chance.
Here's Whittingham going for a goal here that would have meant national headlines, and he controlled the ball rather better than he delivered it towards goal.
Well, he controls it brilliantly. David Burrows just assumes that I think that that's going to go back to the goalkeeper, but he controlled it better than he shot, that was for sure. But Liverpool have dominated, passed it pretty, and Portsmouth almost break through with a long punt from the goalkeeper down the pitch, and the next touch almost in the back of the net.
Bruce Grobbelaar, who injured himself a moment or two ago with his previous kick, has a considerable limp now. Venice might be hard for Portsmouth immediately to recognise that the opposing goalkeeper isn't 100%. Barnes, rush, Nicol's right in there. It's back with Burrows again, and he's bundled down by the burly Whittingham.
Obstruction, would you say?
Well, the arm is raised. It's an indirect free kick. Nicol. Mulvey getting the better of McLaughlin, and in the end finding the obstacle was Anderton. But this really says so much about Liverpool's season. They don't arrive towards the end of it with any great degree of continuity. They've chopped and changed. Graham Souness has really been tearing out his hair over the past few months with the number of casualties that he's collected. And even though a lot of the first-choice players are here tonight, they're not at their best. And although they will point to long periods when they were able to pass the ball around and make Portsmouth chase, they can't yet point to a goal, let alone a win.
A lot of players do look tired out there, but certainly what must be a plus for Jim Smith is his back four certainly don't. The four of them look lively, look alert still, this late on in the game.
Well, of course, a good number of them are going through this for the second time in 8 days, and in between, they've played a couple of league games apiece. Saunders. Will it run for Rush? It certainly hasn't been his semi-final yet.
He has found it difficult, but to be fair to Ian Rush, he's hardly had a moment or the ball's arrived at him, and there hasn't been one of those centre-halves that close. I mean, that's how well Andy Orford and Kit Simons have played tonight.
McLaughlin. It really is going to the wire here at Villa Park. Cool. For Beresford, who knows only one way to play, and that's to storm on. It's a very optimistic appeal, but it's the type of run that, particularly against tired defenders, could just do the trick. Barnes, again, at no more than walking pace in the middle. Here's Nicol. For Rush. Made himself available most intelligently for Mulby. Saunders supplying the width once more. Thomas is in the centre. Barnes has got upfield behind him. Thomas with a praiseworthy try in the circumstances. He felt a year ago the agony of losing in an FA Cup semi-final. That was at Wembley at least. He had the consolation of playing there for Arsenal on Paul Gascoigne's great day against Spurs. Daniel. Wolford rather got underneath that one. Burns, Whittingham. Whittingham chasing and hoping that those who've been out on the pitch for longer than he has might just find their legs giving out at a crucial moment. Just like that, Mark Walters is going to come on. We wouldn't be surprised if Barnes came off simply because of the tiredness that he's exhibiting, but on the other hand, Liverpool would like him out there in certain circumstances. It's Rob Jones, in fact, who's limping, and he picked up an injury here in the league game against Aston Villa on Saturday. Might be a recurrence of that.
Well, they have a natural replacement, don't they, as well, and Barry Venison there. They can just slot in there in right back position if that's the case.
Whittingham, it got through the Liverpool ranks. Whittingham's cross, and it just veered behind Burns. Portsmouth have the throw. Daniel. Well, Grobbelaar moving much more freely now. And you wonder, come a penalty shootout, you think back to that European Cup final, of course. And Grobbelaar so distracted the Roma players in Italy with his antics. And Liverpool went home with the European Cup. Barnes, Neil in the nick of time. Nicol to Rush. Thomas. Now Mulby. And Liverpool try to galvanise themselves again. Here's Nicol. They're doing what they were doing earlier in the game, but at about a quarter of the pace. Jones trying to quicken it. Saunders, now here comes the counter-attack, and Portsmouth have got the right man on the ball. Beresford. There's time here for Anderton. Burns to his left, whipping him to the right. Out comes Grobbelaar. He's caught way out of his goal, and Beresford can't get his head to the cross. He didn't really read it right again. And here's Thomas. Like two heavyweights here, both almost out on their feet but refusing to drop. Saunders, it loops up, rushes in. Now Mulvey. Portsmouth in fact do have a player down. It's Alan McLaughlin. He's trying to get up to make the offside trap work. Could well be Crump. Thomas, Rush, oh, missed it, Thomas slips. And Ian Rush hangs his head. Right. McLaughlin. Barnes finding an extra burst of energy from somewhere. Saunders, who's certainly been consistent in his work rate. Nichols, cross! Oh, what a way that would have been to settle it. Rob Jones is going to be taken off now.
It's always going wide, this cross, isn't it? I think Alan Knight saw that early and caused them no real problems.
Well, somewhat reluctantly, Rob Jones, Jan Mulvey had to point it out to him that his number was up. And if it goes to penalties, maybe Rob Jones will tell you after the game that he quite fancied taking one. He seems to have no nerves at all, but Walters, of course, is a penalty specialist. So that might be in the thinking of Ronnie Moran.
It's funny because you have to do it these days, Mark. You have to be conscious of the fact that cup ties just possibly might go to penalties, and you really have to sort these out in training now. Listen to the Pompey fans, they're really, really proud of their team tonight. Trying to lift them that last few minutes verbally. They're doing a wonderful job of it.
Portsmouth have given a bit of treatment to Ray Daniel. You look down the Liverpool possible penalty takers and you think of the likes of Jan Mulvey and John Barnes, who've done it so often before, Mark Walters. Dean Saunders, of course, missed one for Liverpool earlier this season, right at the outset of the season at Manchester City. But he's rarely shirked that responsibility. You can recall Ian Rush taking them in the past as well. Well, I, for one, would prefer another game, but there you go. That's the rules everybody knew at the start of the season.
Well, Ray Daniel's obviously got problems in respect that they've shifted John Beresford to left back and pushed Ray Daniel just in front of him.
Right. 2 hours at Highbury, almost 2 hours at Villa Park. And you can't separate Portsmouth and Liverpool. There's a minute left. The FA Cup has a fund of stories about last-minute dramas. Is this going to be the next one? Anderton, Whittingham and Aspinall, who's come on, the two in the centre, and the drama didn't materialise. Portsmouth, after struggling at the outset, have kept pace with Liverpool. But here's Saunders. Nicol. And Burris controlled that very well, perhaps with a touch of luck, but it stuck so that he could steer it back tonight.
He's deserved a bit of luck, hasn't he? He's worked tremendously hard, John Beresford. Up and down that left flank all night.
We go to penalties in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Jim Smith has to come and sort out who's got the legs left to try and propel the ball in from 12 yards. And wouldn't it be like Bruce Grobbelaar at a time where he's having to live with mounting criticism, and he's made some misjudgments here, but wouldn't it be like him to throw himself about now and make sure that Liverpool get through? Keeping cool for the players, keeping count for the rest of us. This historic penalty shootout about to start. Portsmouth the first to go with their captain. Oh, and he's missed horribly. A great lift for Liverpool.
It's as we say, isn't it a tragedy? Martin Kuhl decides to blast it, and to be fair, blasts it well wide.
It's sliced away off the right foot, off the outside of the boot. And Kuhl tries to come to terms with a penalty failure for Portsmouth. John Barnes has done it all before. His last goal for Liverpool was a penalty in the FA Cup at Crewe to complete that hat-trick. He hasn't scored since then, he's hardly played since then. And he put it to the goalkeeper's right. That's the way it goes. So, one penalty apiece, but one goal to Liverpool.
Yeah, cool as you like. Tries a little John Aldridge, little stutter, and rolls it quite beautifully in the corner.
Some Liverpool players are smiling, others don't want to look. Barnes has played his part. They were right to keep him on. Kit Simons. Here's the second selection for Pompey. And he does well. So it's 1-1.
Yeah, this is pressure from the young man. He deals with it very well.
Well, this won't count if it goes in to Ian Rush's FA Cup record. He's still 4 behind the all-time mark of Dennis Law. Liverpool have the advantage. Can they hold it now? Trapped it. Thank goodness Liverpool will feel for the placement, because there was no power.
Well, it's the placement that gets this in. Doesn't hit it well, look. Bobbles off the ground. And the placement's so good that Alan Knight's no chance.
2-1 to Liverpool, thanks to Rush. Next to step up, the Portsmouth right back, Warren Neal. Grobbelaar pointing out to the referee, is he, that the ball isn't quite on the spot? Even if it is, it's made the referee go and look, it is. And Warren Neal just had to wait perhaps a little longer than he might have wanted. Oh, and he's hit it straight at Grobbelaar. Liverpool are nearly there. And that little touch of goalkeeping gamesmanship may well have played a part.
So many people hit penalties straight down the middle. Sometimes the goalkeepers gamble, that's exactly what happens.
Dean Saunders, who took the penalty at Derby, failed with his one at Manchester City for Liverpool. He's taking his usual lengthy run-up. How Portsmouth need Alan Knight now. And Saunders buries it.
This is a good penalty, isn't it? Runs up at pace. Every conviction he was going to score there, I'm sure he had.
3 out of 3 for Liverpool, 1 out of 3 for Portsmouth. Now their regular penalty taker, John Beresford, cannot afford to fail. The nails are bitten. There can't be anything left. And there's very little left for Portsmouth. There's nothing left. Nothing at all. In a season in which so many big clubs have been ambushed along the way, Liverpool have found a circuitous, but in the end, a safe path to Wembley, and have certainly given a great lift to Graham Souness. It came down to penalties, and there, in abundance, Liverpool's know-how was totally influential. They did not falter, and Portsmouth sadly couldn't cope, missing 3 times. Not a vintage Liverpool season. Their class and confidence dented by injury after injury, and unsettled most recently by the manager's illness. But their great competitive instincts coming good in the FA Cup. What a battle.